Hello everyone, welcome back to physics class. In the last lecture we have studied about force, a very simple definition of force, and balanced and unbalanced force. So when your net force is 0 and there is no change in state of the body, you have balanced force, and because of unbalanced force there is change in state of the body and there is some net force. Now look at the situation. Let's assume you have one inclined plane and a ball on this inclined plane. So this ball, it will roll down, it will come here, then also after this it will cover some distance. So it stop over here at this point S. Now 2000 years back the situation is explained as this type of objects, they have natural tendency to stop. But that time Newton, Galileo, they have explained this in some different way. They said this type of object, they can remain in motion. They have stopped because some external force is there. Totally different view. What do you think? If you see in our daily life, when you roll a ball over inclined plane, it will never remain in motion. It will come to stop after certain time or after traveling certain distance. So, was that wrong? No. Now here, the force or the external force that stops the ball is frictional force, which is between this ball and ground. So this frictional force, it stops the ball. Now assume there is no friction or the surface is more smooth. Then if the surface is more smooth, then ball, it will travel more distance. Assume there is no friction, then this ball will remain in motion. It will keep on moving and moving and moving until there is some force to stop it. That force is your external force, or you can say unbalanced force. Okay, so this is your Newton's first law of motion. The statement of Newton's first law of motion: every object will remain at rest or in uniform motion, that means in motion in a straight line, unless compelled to change its state by the action of an external force. That means if an object is at rest, it will remain at rest, it will not change, it will not move until you apply some external force. Similarly, if object is in motion, okay, if object is in motion, let's say it is moving, a box which is moving, it will stop only when there is some external force. Either it may be frictional force or it may be some external force you are applying to stop this box. Now the important thing here, it is return in straight line. Why? Because if there is change in direction, that means there is some force which is changing direction of box. So this is an important term, object motion in straight line. So this is your Newton's first law of motion. Okay. Now this property of body, any object, this property of any object, ball, this box, or even say any animal, anything, a notebook, it will remain at rest or it will remain in motion. This property is because of its mass. Okay, this property to remain in its state is because of its mass. And the specific name given to this property is known as inertia. So property of a body that resists change in its state is known as inertia. So this first law of motion is also known as first law of inertia. So the property of a body, the property of the body to resist change in its state is called inertia, and this inertia is proportional to mass of the body, which means more mass, more resistance. So a heavy object, it is difficult for you to move that. You have to apply more force as compared to a lighter object. So let's say example of a 5 rupee coin and a feather. Can you tell me which has more inertia? Obviously the one which has more mass. So this 5 rupee coin, it has more mass. so it will have more inertia than this feather. Okay. So this first law of motion, or first law of Newton's first law of motion, is also known as first law of inertia, and they are very beautiful example of this inertia in our everyday life. Okay, you'll be amazed to see. Now here, this elephant and human, which one has more inertia? Obviously human. Why? Because he is having less inertia. Yes, less inertia because it has less mass as compared to elephant. Okay, now some very common examples of this inertia in our daily life. Let's say you're standing in a bus, and this bus is moving in let's say in this direction. This bus is moving. Now if this bus suddenly stops, what will happen? You will lean in forward direction like this cartoon. So this is the body. If this both are moving, suddenly if this stops, this bus, you will lean in forward direction. Why? Because of inertia. Now how to explain this? Body, it want to be in state of motion only. It don't want to. It resists change in its motion, in its state. If a body is in motion, it want to be in motion. So when this suddenly stops, bus stops, your body who want to be in motion will lean forward direction. Similarly, other scenario, when the buses start suddenly, that time what will happen? You will fall backward because your body want to be in rest only, don't want to come in motion. So it will resist, so it will fall in backward direction. There are many other examples like you tend to move forward when a sudden brake is applied. This first I already told you. Okay, the third one, dusting bed with a broom removes dust due to inertia of rest. So when you have a carpet, okay, so when you dust a carpet, okay, what will happen that time? Using a broom, when you do dusting, what happens? Dust particles, they come out of carpet. Why? Because now carpet is in motion, but dust particle, they want to remain in their rest position, so they'll come out. Similarly, when you shake a branch, the leaves get detached. So leaves, when you are shaking the tree, branches, they are in motion, but leaves, they don't want to come in motion, so they will detach down. Experiencing jerk when lift suddenly starts. Similarly, athlete taking a short run before a jump, so that he will get that proper inertia. So this is about inertia and first law of motion. Now what you have to write in notebook is statement of Newton's first law of motion, and then you have to write definition of inertia, and you have to write two examples. It is better if you don't copy example from this notes. Instead, try to see things around you, and whatever you think is example of inertia, write it down. Whether right or wrong, but write it according to your understanding. Okay, thank you.